guys, welcome to another episode of Unpopular Opinion. I am your fellow hunter of wisdom, Irene. Now today's video is actually a follow-up on my previous video. So in my previous video, I've explained how I've unknowingly dabbled into black magic. If you have not watched it, please head over there to understand how this topic is related to marriage. So as promised, I will share with you on how my husband fell into black magic in another country. So after we got divorced, we got closer. It's strange because I think after he moved out, we experienced the reality of it. Soon he got posted to another country, which I'm not gonna say where, and he said he will come back to get me. When he came back, he utterly shocked me. It was a story that he told me that he doesn't want to be reconciled with me anymore. He met someone there during the last 3 days of his work trip, and she's the love of his life. Of course, I was completely shattered by his story, and when I shared this with my friends, they told me very confidently that it was black magic. Because one of the signs that you can catch when somebody is under black magic is that this person is not behaving like his normal self. My husband was definitely not behaving like his own self. And for things like that are very common for women over there to use it to get themselves a foreign husband. So one of my friends gave me the address of a very powerful temple that can deal with this black magic, or we call it Gong Tao. I said I cannot go because I'm a Christian. So my friend said that Christian ways take too long. This temple faster. I consulted my pastor auntie and she explained, if this temple in the east can remove this black magic voodoo spell on your husband, that woman will use another level of demon to take over your husband again. So you have to go and find somewhere else powerful enough for this level 2 demon to take over. So when that happens, how many levels are you going to go? I thought to myself, I can't go to Tibet or some other expensive places for me to find this highly powered reverend to save my husband. So I decided, I'm a Christian, right? I have God, and since God created Satan, he should be the ultimate. If I want to do this, I want to take the best and the most time-saving method to do so. And free! That gave me the drive to go to church and immerse myself in church life. But I realized the more I go, the more convicted I felt. I felt the passages were for me, telling me to repent, change my ways, and to be more like Jesus. I've learned nothing about any concoction to give my husband or any accessories for him to wear on, nothing. Fast forward to my husband deciding to end his double life and move back with me. While he was moving house, he found these signs of witchcraft. There were light white lines in front of his door. The devotion book I bought for him were ripped off in the middle, only leaving the leather cover on the outside. There were also random cut-up papers pasted everywhere. When he saw that, he realized that he was living with a demonic woman. His bag was drawn on with weird swirls, like the back strap, right? His clothes were being cut up. He had a gold necklace that were clasped shut, and the only way of removing it was breaking that gold chain. And a ring with strange carvings on it. All these possessions were noticed by me, and I was reading this book, so I knew a thing or two. I quickly prayed over his safety and renounced any demonic spirits or demonic altars that were set up against me, him, and our family. I tried telling him, tried to educate him, but he refused to listen, right? So I could only pray for him. After he came back, we recounted that the beginning of this black magic was probably during the first meeting with her. She gave him numerous jars of water. She was also his constant source of drugs. He took drugs to an extent that he needed to mix them. And you know, when you mix drugs, death is the only way to go. She also indulged in his alcoholism and even restricted visitations with our kids. A good woman will only uplift your life and add value to your life, not drag you into hell with her. Now you know the story of my husband's near-death experience with black magic. I want to explain deeper into the points that I've mentioned in my previous video. Demons are transferred or enters you through these few methods. Number 1, premarital sex or sexual immorality. This is an example of demons being transferred from one person to another. So everybody is born with demons, whether is it because of the sins we do or whether is it passed down by our families. The difference is how many do we have. So sexual intercourse outside of marriage is not the will of God. If you're not with God, then you're with the devil. As simple as that. It's either good or bad, don't have in the middle, right? So imagine with the body count of 200, how many demons have you inherited? Or what if you've just had sex with a witch or a warlock? Point 2, names of children. I was in children's service one Sunday when I noticed this little girl being called up to stage. Her name is Jezebel. My husband and I looked at each other with chills down our spine. How is it that a Christian parent doesn't know the meaning behind the name Jezebel? The Jezebel spirit represents sexual immorality, manipulation, and leading people astray from our God, Yahweh. How is it that they don't know? It is written in the Bible. 3, marriage ceremonies or rites, rituals, okay? Some couples are made to kneel down in front of the altars, play some offerings, or have smoke waved over their heads. And how many of them truly know what those rituals mean? In this day and age, we are often made to follow our parents' traditions without knowing the meanings of it. Unfortunately, being ignorant is not an excuse of not forming a demonic covenant. Number 4, pornography. Pornography is so rampant now, easily available. So there are only 2 forms of literature in my opinion. One nourishes your soul and one tarnishes it. Which part of your body is being nourished by pornography, by horror movies, or demonic reality programs? If God didn't inspire the creation of it, you know who did. Number 5, divination, like astrology, horoscope, tarot card reading. This is an attempt to foretell your future using spiritual methods. I've heard of a saying that some people have third eye. So this third eye in the middle, right? Then they can see things in the spiritual realm. There's a baby who has third eye. And the baby cannot sleep because at night, he can see these visions. He's scared. He's frightened by it. Would you want to have a third eye? Not me, no thanks. I don't want my kid to have a third eye also. Because to get them to sleep is a nightmare already. And for them to be awakened by these demonic visions, God grants us rest and sleep. So who granted us these demonic visions? Next, food. Why do Christians say grace before we eat? Let me explain, okay? One day, I went to Bugis Street and I wanted to buy a cup of bubble tea. So when I was waiting at the cashier, I looked down and I saw this altar with toys around it. With my experience with altars, I know that it's an altar set up for deceased children. So in this culture, deceased children are prayed to for the prosperity of a business. Now, looking at that, would you think that your drink has a force on it that's not from God? Lastly, tattoos. Tattoos started off as a form of branding. on cattle. Because I need to know this cattle belong to who, right? Belong to you, belong to me, right? Tattoos and piercings are also initially used in demonic rituals. It is not a form of self-expression according to propaganda nowadays. Do you know that your body is a temple of the Lord and not your own? Did you seek permission before you start to jab that first needle into your skin? Now, all these pointers, they are taken from this book. Okay? And explanations are from my own experiences. You can tell how many are so common in our society now. Being common doesn't mean it's right. Being traditional doesn't mean it's outdated. Like I always say, if it's not true, then it's fine. But if it's true, you and I are in deep trouble. I feel like when we know certain things, we share. But it is still up to the person whether they believe it or not. So let's do the action of sharing information, sharing useful information, so that it nourishes our minds, not our bodies. If you think my opinion has given you value and you learned something from this, please remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, like and share to more people who needs to hear this. Thank you for watching and staying tuned until so far. I will see you on the next one.